What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another episode of the BSBN episode 29 here. I'm your host, Patrick. On the top left, we have my man, Vicky Boy, and on the top right, we have my man, Daniel. What's going on, boys? How you guys doing?
Doing good.
Good,
Been a
good.
long week, but
No doubt, no doubt.
doing good.
All right, to kind of jump into things, I watched last night's game. I don't know if you guys got the chance to see it or at least seen the highlights or anything like that, but last night was Jonathan Quick's final career game in the NHL. He did announce his retirement a couple of hours actually before the game started. He played his last game last night against the Florida Panthers, number 32, losing 3-2 against the Florida Panthers here for his final game, his final hurrah. I wanted to kind of talk about, the career of Jonathan Quick and expressing like what he's brought to hockey. Is he a Hall of Famer? How good was Jonathan Quick in his prime? You guys got any words to say about the guy before we touch on stuff?
I mean, Jonathan Quick is one of those USA-born goalies that is an icon behind Miller. I mean, those are the two USA goalies you really think of that led our generations growing up and everything that people got into hockey for. And Jonathan Quick, he won 2 Stanley Cups. I mean, one was against us.
3 Stanley Cups.
Oh, 3. 2 against us, or one against us, and the other against the Devils. I mean, I remember watching those series, and he stole the show for them, basically, in both those series. So yeah, he's definitely one of those goalies, and especially him playing in 800 or games played 829. He wasn't a bad goalie for his time. It sucks that he's retiring, but he had a great career.
Vic, anything you want to add to it?
Yeah, man. I mean, long career, 19 seasons, bro. It sucks that he couldn't go out with a win last night. It would have probably been nice. I mean, I know you're happy about it as a Rangers fan, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah, man. Like, you didn't have to follow his career to know who he was. His name was known throughout the league. Played with multiple teams. Like Dan said, he just played in over 800 games. He won over 400 of those games. That's a pretty tall task, man. To win over 400 games, 3 Stanley Cups. I think he got the Conn Smythe. What is it? The Conn Smythe?
Conn Smythe Trophy.
Conn Smythe Trophy. He won. I definitely think he left his mark, and I definitely think he's Hall of Fame worthy. I mean, caliber. With the career that he had. But yeah, man, it was a nice long career for him. It would have been nice to end with a win. But yeah, man, wishing him nothing but the best in his retiring days, and I'm sure it'll be weird for him as it is for most people coming out of a sport for a quarter of their life almost. The transition to like the civilian world, because that's what it is. To try and get used to not traveling and not playing and doing what you know pretty much. It's like the hardest part, I think, is the retirement. Like, yeah, you can finally enjoy and do all the things that was hard to do as you were an active player, but it's also like getting used to that lifestyle after retiring. But I wish him and his family nothing but the best, and hats off to him for a long and great career.
Yeah, same here. I think that Jonathan Quick's career is nothing short than exceptional. Like he's been to me, he is the top goaltender, American born. Like he's absolutely a first ballot Hall of Famer. I mean, 3 Stanley Cups, not an easy thing to do in general. But it's wild that you get MVP for one of them, 2 Jennings Awards, Conn Smythe Trophy. 9-10 percentage. What was it, 2.55 goals average like per game and whatnot. It's insane. And yeah, like he didn't get the win for last night, but as a Rangers fan, I'm obviously happy. It locks us in 2.51. Okay. And so for the Rangers though, I'm happy because for me, to us, we lock in a top 5 pick in the in this year's draft at the very least. So that's really good. But I am excited for for him and his retirement. To see what he does, to see his banner get raised, most likely in LA for sure. Happy.
Yep.
He wins one with, the Vegas Knights too. Brand new franchise comes in and really just steals the show there too, as Dan said earlier. Unfortunately for me, he had to run through the Rangers. I wasn't
no.
excited about
He
that.
was playing behind Fleury, no? Fleury stole the show for Vegas at that time.
No, if he did, no, I
Yeah.
don't remember that.
He
being
only
the
played
case.
in 10 games that year. He was with Vegas.
Well, then shit, man. To have that goalie tandem is incredible. And both of those guys are Hall of Famers to be sure. You know, I mean, it is what it is. Fleury, yeah, I mean that's what's it called.
Flowers.
We'll come back to Flower later on because I actually have something I have to ask you guys. But yeah, what's it called? But yeah, it was an exciting career for Jonathan Quick. Best American-born goaltender by far for me. I like there's a lot of other guys that come close. I know I've seen some guys saying Hellebuck, and like don't get me wrong, Hellebuck is great. He got the gold medal, stole the show there. It's wrong. Come on, I'm sorry. Gold medal, one gold medal does not outweigh 3 Stanley Cups to me. I'm sorry, it just does not. You could take the country pride and whatnot. That's fantastic. Don't get me wrong, but like that happens once every 4 years, and for me, I'm sorry, but Quick just gets it here for Stanley Cup wise, and he still has miles to go before he's even done and retired and whatnot.
Yeah,
So no one
is
comes
still
close.
playing and still has
Yeah,
time
no
before
one.
he retires.
Yeah, right now no one comes close, and until I see accolades like that under his belt, and I'll never say it's Stanley Cups. I usually don't count that because typically that's like a team award, and it is. Don't get me wrong, it definitely is a team award. Hellebuck's got the Vezina trophy and everything like that. So there's good stuff that's coming from him. But again, man, like he also Quick. When you watch those 3 Stanley Cups, there's a reason why he was Conn Smythe in one of them at the very least, and he's come a great deal away, gone through the gauntlet 3 times to win it 3 times. And that's just incredible for any goaltender in general, and he earned it. It wasn't like he got carried his way; he earned that. Like he did a lot of that work. He did a lot of the pulling, in those games. So. He did a great job. So, yeah, hats off to Jonathan Quick. I hope he enjoys his retirement. I hope that the Rangers do the smart thing and offer him a contract somewhere in the front office for goaltending, because that would be fantastic. Grew up a Rangers fan, so I'd love to see him come back to the organization and, do something in the front, to help these goalies come up and learn from someone that can, tell them how to play the game. That would be fantastic. So, we'll see how that goes. But for now, happy retirement to Jonathan Quick. You'll be missed, and thank you so much for everything you've done for the New York Rangers and for every other team that you've been on, obviously, just as a representation. Moving on, speaking of some other, older guys, older vets in the league, we have some absolutely generational players that are nearing the ends of their career. And we just saw the final matchup for it. By the way, this is being recorded on Tuesday, on the 14th here. So, where this is going to be out by the time the first round is being played, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But yeah, we just the final matchup, or at least for now, for what we're potentially like putting out there, that we watched the potential final matchup between Alexander Ovechkin and Sidney Crosby. You guys want to talk about them? That historic rivalry and what those 2 players meant to the NHL?
Without those 2 players, I don't think a lot of the people our age would grow up hockey fans. Because these guys, their names were all over all over since they came into the league, especially in the 2010s. They were all that was being talked about in hockey. Ovechkin and Crosby. So yeah, I mean, these are 2 icons of the game. Whether how you look at it, I would consider them to be icons of the NHL. I mean, Ovi breaking Wayne Gretzky's goal record last year. Nobody thought that was ever going to be possible, and he did it. I mean, it took him I think his final game, right, Pat? Where he scored the goal to break the record?
No, he did it.
Or
He did
a couple games left, I think.
No, he did it in the middle of the season.
But yeah, Ovi was one of those guys that grew the sport a lot to get it to where it is today. And I feel like Crosby, especially for the Canadian hockey players, guys like Connor McDavid and Salabrini both played for the Canadian team and said that he was their idol growing up. And I mean, yeah, when you have somebody that big, you try to be just like him, or if not better. McDavid is on that trend, but who knows where McDavid's going to end up sooner or later. But Crosby was also one of those guys, and the Penguins and Capitals were always fighting in that playoffs, especially near the Eastern Conference round. So yeah, two very much Hall of Fame bound players who had historic careers for their rightful selves.
Yeah, man, it's Crosby and Ovechkin. It's like if you compare that to the NBA, it's kind of like Kobe and LeBron when they first like got introduced, like that new era. Always compared two different positions, comparing the player together, and it's sad because it's like it's an end of an era. You know what I mean? If it is this last year, and Sid's right behind him, and for me, like before I became like a solidified Pittsburgh fan, like I was a player fan, like I am in the NBA, and it was Ovi and Sid that will kind of like always keep me drawn into hockey. Like I had you always watching hockey, but I was never like into it. But like I played the games, but I knew like I loved Ovechkin, the way he played, like that energy, that exciting like plays. Like if you go look at his highlight reel from like early on, just not even them two
fantastic.
alone, you know what I mean? Like what he was able to do, that's what drew me in, and then those rivalries started to really, and then I had to pick one, obviously, and I couldn't not go Sid because Sid's my boy. But yeah, man, I don't, it's hard to match a rivalry like that. Like, and hold on, piece of hair. It's hard, man. Like two different teams. These guys are franchise players, bro. They've been with that same team, that same franchise since they got drafted. Like they got drafted like right around the same time. I don't know if it was the exact same draft class or if they were a year. No,
year
same
apart.
class, right?
1 year
1 year
apart.
apart. Like, and they've been the talk of the league 20 years later. You know what I mean? Like those are icons, man. It's the end of a chapter if this was his last season, and then last night they let Ovechkin do a face-off with Crosby, and then there was some words said. There was a word said. Sid said something or whatever. Obviously, Sid won the face-off. He better have, unless he was feeling some pity for Ovechkin. You know what I mean? But and they tagged Ovechkin in like, yo, you go up against him, like that respect right there, like, yo, you go take this face-off against Sid because this could be the last one. Like just that right there, like that's a moment, out of all the moments that they got together. So, man, and he's had a hell of a career. Both of these guys have. They've both left their stamp, in different aspects of the game, but their names will never be forgotten. I think even whether Hall of Fames or not, I don't think their names will ever be forgotten in the game. And obviously, it's an end of a chapter and it's the start of a new chapter with this young generational talent and these other guys coming up looking to pretty much take up those mantles. But I hope he's got one more year in him. It'd be awesome to see him one more year. Does he need to? No. I don't think there's anything left for him, unless there was a chance for him to win a cup and he was like, I really want one, but I don't think he's got anything left like that. He needs to prove he's done it all. And yeah, man, they're just both guys mean a lot to me, and I'm sure they mean a lot to their fan bases, but like that's definitely what kept me in hockey were those two names. So yeah, man, just it's bittersweet, but just that's life.
I will never forget. It was the second round of the 2009 playoff, right? This game is etched in my brain forever because this game was one of the best feats of hockey that I've ever seen between a rivalry. It almost had that, for wrestling fans, how I compared them to Kobe and LeBron. I compared them to basically like Stone Cold and The Rock, if you like wrestling. And it had that feel to it because if you ever go back to that game, I think it was like game 2. It was early on. It was like game 2 of the second round of 2009 playoffs or whatever it was. I think it was 2009. I'm convinced it was 2000. Basically, Crosby scoring, Ovechkin scoring. They go back and forth, and both of them score a hat trick apiece, versing each other. And it's like, if that doesn't tell you how much their rivalry was, like how big it was, fact that this is happening in playoff hockey, not just regular season hockey. This is happening in playoff hockey. Both of them said, "Oh, you think you could do it better? I got one for you. I'll do it better." And then they both score on each other 3 separate times in the same game against each other. Both of them 6 goals. I think the Capitals went on to win that one. I think it was like 4-3 final. But the fact that it was both of them scoring hat tricks to me was incredible. This rivalry is just not easy to sum up other than just fantastic. You can't ask for 2 better players to come across against each other. And not only were they both generational players from their respective eras, they were in the same division, saw each other multiple times a season. This last run that they just had in was their 100th game against each other. And you know what? Once again, it was just another great game. Obviously, Ovi ends up taking it. They don't make the playoffs, which is unfortunate. But, it's a rivalry nonetheless that just really brings what the spirit of hockey should be. And I think it's intense. I think it's something that every hockey fan should ever look at. Like, whether you're a fan of old, whether you're a new fan, if you're just born into this new era with Connor McDavid and whatnot, if you were too young to see those matchups back then between the two, you got to go up, at least on YouTube, go find them, go look at them, go ask people who have seen it, and go ask them what they felt about this matchup here between these two, because these two are what it really means to be hockey. These two are what it means, to play the sport that you love, to show the passion that you have, and to really bring a rivalry to a game that, is ever growing. I mean, hockey is one of those sports that definitely does need growth in it, and I wish, we had nowadays social media back then, because it would have been crazy to see something like Vic said, highlight reels of Ovechkin, or some of these highlight reels with Crosby, or just even versus each other. You can go on for days with some of these games they got and just go, damn, the way they played against each other was just phenomenal. If you had to ask me, myself personally, I would take Sidney Crosby as well. Just because I think he is a top 10 at very minimum. And I don't care who you got on your list. He's got to be top 10, and he's got to be top 5 IQ-wise in the game, period. There is no debate about that. Argue with your mother. I really don't care. But he's got to be one of those guys that just has himself on the top 10 list. He's on a GOAT list somewhere, and I don't blame them, because he's just fantastic. Ovechkin as well, another fantastic player. More just the scoring touch for him. As Dan said, broke the goal record by Gretzky, and played phenomenally his entire career. He had to go through lockouts as well. There was lockouts, short season he gets put on. And even towards the last end of his season, he wasn't playing how he did back in 2005, but he was for damn sure giving you everything he had on the tank, and it's incredible to see these two guys, at least I don't know what the future holds in store for them. As we know right now, Malkin, who not to forget in this rivalry as well, because Malkin was another big piece and actually a very close friend to Alexander Ovechkin. Both of them will be free agents coming this summer. Right now, no pending deal has been in place for either or, so we don't know what lies in store, but we did see Ovechkin wave off the entirety of the Penguins off the ice to say, nah, don't worry about it. Don't come here. We don't need a handshake line. We'll be all right. So we don't know what holds in store for Ovechkin. We don't know if he's coming back another season. We don't know what team that's going to be with. It could be with the Capitals again. It could be on the Penguins for all we know. I would highly doubt that. But if we can get 1 year of just a line, I don't care how good they do or how bad they do, but if we can get 1 year of a line of Malkin, Crosby, and Ovechkin, that would, I think, solve a lot of kids.
Ovechkin on the Kindle line, baby.
Yeah, Ovechkin and Kindle on the same line. There you go. Put Kindle between Crosby and Ovechkin. He could never make it again in his life, and he would be the happiest in the world. There's no you don't you just gotta learn.
I don't know. You think with that rivalry, with just the Ovechkin versus Crosby rivalry, that he would actually end up wanting to be on the Penguins?
Yeah, I mean,
I get playing with Malkin, but
we got to understand.
I feel like that rivalry is just.
You got to understand that Lundqvist did it. Lundqvist did it before he had the heart, but Lundqvist went over to the Capitals before he had the heart problem. couldn't actually play, but but he did sign on with the Capitals shortly after, and they had rivalries too between the Rangers and the Capitals. God, everyone knows already how I always feel
Jesus
about
Christ,
those games.
can we not talk about the Rangers versus Capitals? Because all I can remember from those series is Ovechkin being at the point on the power play and always scoring his normal go-to goal.
Yeah.
All I remember about Capitals when I went to the game with Patty Boy, my boy Ovechkin in the shootout, coming in the clutch.
I'll end this episode early. Do not test me. Oh man, yeah, no, but just again, great rivalry, fantastic, and I hope that we find out what's going on. Ovechkin's got to mull it over to see what he's going to do. We don't know what the Penguins are going to do with Malkin. A lot of good free agents that are older now, but it's the end of an era one way or another. Whether they're signed with different teams or at least they get one more year before they head off into the sunset. Regardless, there's a lot, and also Kopitar, the Kings. Him and Quick, both of them retiring together. Another fantastic thing to see. Both of them long-standing. Kopitar is also another retire. So I mean, just a lot of legends, a lot of people that I grew up watching myself personally are just leaving. And that's unfortunate. That's life. But we got the new age guys coming in, and hopefully they continue to carry that mantle that these guys have set, and hopefully they continue to raise the bar that the guys have set, and it's already mighty, mighty high. But I hope we could see more of that going towards the future with guys like Celebrini versus McDavid or McKinnon or Bedard or whatever the case is. I hope we could see more of that intensity, more of that big, fiery matchup between these guys.
American players in that picture, though. The American players are slacking behind these Canadian youngsters right now.
They usually do, but I mean, there's some good American players coming up. I mean, not every day you're going to see another Patrick Kane born in the mix, but what it is, what it is.
Come on, Austin Matthews was getting compared to being the next American hero.
Yeah, he
and
was.
Look at what he's done.
Yeah, he was. He definitely was getting up there. I mean, it is what it is. I kind of want to talk real quick. We're gonna move on to this next subject quick. We paid our homage to the to the old guns and whatnot in the league, and we have to talk about real quick. Speaking of final game for Ovechkin and whatnot, and Crosby moving into the playoffs. Crosby, Pittsburgh Penguins go against long-standing rivals of the Philadelphia Flyers. We're going to be talking about some of these matchups here. I think this is one we're going to end up, going to watch. If you guys don't know, we will be live streaming the most likely the Pittsburgh games, because I know Vicky Boy here wants to watch these Pittsburgh games.
Definitely that series, and obviously we will plan accordingly on any other scheduled ones.
Yeah, so we'll kind of touch on it. Whether it's all three of us, two of us, or just even me, I don't care. I'm going to watch all of them regardless, but we'll kind of touch on them. We'll commentate on them. We're going to hang out, have fun on YouTube and Twitch, and we're just going to kind of go over some of these games and just, really, really have a good time with them. So if you guys want to come watch us, don't forget to like and subscribe. You'll see us on YouTube and also on Twitch. You can follow us at Burst Network. As we have for all our other social media. So do not forget, if you want to watch, we'll be starting. Playoffs begin April 18th on Saturday. We most likely will see this Pittsburgh versus Flyers game at like 7 p.m. I'm assuming somewhere between 7 and 8 p.m. But we'll watch those games, and it'll be definitely one that we have on the docket here to watch. Anything else we'll kind of coordinate and we'll put out on social media pages. So don't forget to follow them as well. Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter and whatnot as well. X, whatever you want to call it now. But Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia is one of the first confirmed matchups of the Eastern Conference. This is a long-standing rival. What do you guys have to say about this matchup? What are you guys looking forward to here? And who do you got winning?
This is a long-standing rivalry and an historic rivalry when it comes to playoffs. I mean, when you look at it, these guys met in the playoffs 41 times. This is the 42nd time they're meeting in the playoffs. I mean, yeah, the Flyers have their number, but they only won 21 times compared to Pittsburgh's 20. But man, these playoff series are very fun to watch. They're always heated. I mean, I wouldn't consider the Flyers anymore to be the Broad Street Bullies like they used to. But even when they had those teams, they were very intense. You saw Crosby out there body checking them in the playoffs. these are always fun rivalries to watch, man, because the playoffs, that atmosphere is enhanced by times 20. It's not regular season anymore. These playoff games matter, and it shows from the players. This is going to be a fun series to watch. I do think, looking at it, I do think the Penguins have the better team this year, especially with the goalie, because their goalie has been playing phenomenal since they traded for him. But I would say I would have the Penguins winning the series in a close one, probably going Game 7.
All right. What about you, Vic? What you got about this?
My pens, all the way. Yeah, just go off of what Dan was saying. I expect this to be a real gritty kind of series, going 7 also, in my opinion. I definitely think Pittsburgh has the better overall team. They do a good job of scoring fast. I mean, Sid, I would hope, I pray that Sid looks a little sharper getting into these playoffs since the break and the injuries. He's kind of had a little rough go at it, but had good support. The defense has played good. They definitely got a better defense, I think, than Philly. It's going to be, they got to just be aggressive, man. If they can be aggressive and stay on the forecheck, because they struggle when they're in their zone so much of getting the puck out, and then they start making bad passes. It's just like, they just got to play aggressive and play smart, man. Like, and they can definitely do that against the Philly team, but it's definitely going to be an aggressive, gritty matchup. Here. Yeah, I mean, I'm excited to see it. My Pittsburgh's in it, I got total confidence in them getting it done. They got the players to do it. I feel like, the Flyers just slipped in there. They didn't like, I mean, I can't say like Pittsburgh was like amazing either, but at the same point, it's like they didn't just slip in there. Like, they locked their spot in. They're a better team. I think they got the better roster. They score faster. They're cleaner on defense. They stay. I think the Flyers are a little bit in worse shape when it comes to penalties, but yeah, it's going to be tough, But I think we got the team to do it, to at least get through the first round. I would hope so. Get my boy Kindle in there. Sharpen those skates up, boy. Do what you do best, man. Make some plays. Get it, and just get it done, bro. But I got Pittsburgh taking it in the series with 7.
I got this game honestly not being that close. I have this being a 5-game series with Pittsburgh winning it. I'm giving
Man,
Philadelphia
4-1?
Yeah, I got it being a 4-1 series. Simply just because I think
I'd love that.
I just think in general right now, as I'm looking, when you look through the teams here, right? Carlson for for defense in general, I feel like Pittsburgh has the better team. They might have older guys for sure, but that defense.
They always have older guys.
Yeah, I know. But in general, though, this team has been playing, fantastic, and I do think they've kind of hit like a little stopping point here towards the end of the season. But when you got someone like Crosby, when you got someone like Malkin, when you got these guys in there, Letang, and you got Carlson and Barzal and whatnot, when you got these guys in here, I'm not looking at them going, man, they might be old, but at least this team has the leadership. This team has the experience. This team knows what it takes to get into the playoffs, be in the playoffs. They have a goalie that's been in, I actually don't know if he's going to be starting. I'm sure Syllables is probably going to be starting, but, I have Skinner, who's been the back-to-back, Stanley Cup finals and knows what it takes to get there. And they have Crosby, who's won multiple. They have Malkin, who's won multiple. They have Letang and Russ, won multiple. These guys know what it takes to get there. I think that's what's going to lack here in the season versus the Flyers, is the Flyers don't know what it takes to get there right now. Young guys, even the older crowd that's been there, they don't really have the players that the Penguins do to really say, hey, this is what this experience is like. I've seen the Philadelphia Flyers really in playoff contention too much in a while. So this is going to be a brand new test for them. A lot of young defensemen, Jamie Drysdale and whatnot comes to mind. Got a lot of young defensemen who are going to be going up against a very veteran lineup, ones that are very much skilled and what the hell they're doing, coming in the playoffs. So if Sidney Crosby is playing his best, if all these guys I mentioned are playing their best, if Ben Kendall shows up and has like the best rookie playoff season that we've seen, because he's one of the only remaining rookies that are in the playoffs, because a lot of them that have passed him up for rookie of the year are just not here. A lot of these guys are gone. So he could have a chance to show, hey, listen, I might be on a good team, but I'm going to show that I belong. And if he can come up and step up and show that he's going to get goals in this series, it's going to be an interesting series for them in general. It's also going to be just a very interesting playoffs in general for them. So I'm excited to see what they can bring. I got them winning 4-1 straight up. I could even see it possibly being a sweep. But I mean, hey, I'm going to give Philadelphia a game. Don't hate me, Philly, but that's how I got it going right now.
Battle of Pennsylvania is
We
always
got the Flyers with the sweep. All right.
Flyers with the sweep. What's it called? No, I got Pittsburgh 4-1. Moving on to the next one here, we'll talk about it. We're gonna go over to the Western Conference. One of my personal favorite matchups here. We have the Minnesota Wild versus the Dallas Stars.
This is a bloodbath for a round. 7 games of Jesus Christ. I mean, you have some of the 2 top defenses in the league going after each other in the first round of the playoffs. Minnesota has, I think, the 6th rated Dallas has the 6th rated defense this year. Minnesota has the 8th. It's going to be a very defensive battle that both teams have youth. They have veteran leadership. Minnesota picking up Quinn Hughes earlier in the year from Vancouver. That came as a blockbuster trade for everybody, and that defense automatically upgraded. I mean, yeah, you have Brock Faber for Minnesota. You have Quinn Hughes. I mean, 2 top defensemen, I would say, in the NHL right now. And yeah, this is going to be one of those series that is going to be must watch. I think this is going to go 7 no matter how you look at it. Because Dallas can come out skating fast, and so can Minnesota, but I think it's going to go back and forth. This is going to be one of those games that's going to be must watch and go 7, in my opinion.
Who's the home team first? Do we know that yet?
Right now it's going to be Dallas, yeah.
Dallas. Yeah, this is a great matchup. Like these teams, like Dan said, they're both two phenomenal high output teams, man. I'm gonna take the Stars in 6. I just think they got the better, stronger team. I think the Wild will struggle.
I didn't say who I got.
Huh?
I didn't say who I got. Keep going.
Oh, I thought I skipped you up. My bad. Yeah, I think the Wild will struggle a little bit with penalties. Both teams are really good in the power play. It's going to be tight. It's going to be tight because it's 2 really great teams. You got to play sharp. It's playoffs. Like anything can happen. Like one team could look great on paper, the other team could look like crap. But in the playoffs, that don't really mean nothing. It means about the energy that your home stadium is putting out and what you do with that. And Ovechkin talked about it last night actually in the Pittsburgh game. Just talking about how much of a difference that energy that the stadiums and the fans bring, and that's playoff hockey right there.
Players, man.
You can't forget about the most important player on the ice, which is the fans. That really gets the game going. They keep you in the games. I hope the Stars, because they kind of, I wish they would shoot at the net a little bit more. I know I was looking at one of their stats, and they kind of like. They're up there in the league for I guess the least amount of shots on net, and I'm sure if they took more, for such a high scoring team, and with these guys that they got, between those 3 high dogs that they got up there, that they would just shoot the puck a little bit more. But we'll see what happens. It's playoff hockey. I'm going to take the Stars in 6.
All right. Yeah, I mean, I agree. I think that this matchup here is for me is so far not a lot has been confirmed. Again, we're shooting on Tuesday, so this is it was Tuesday 14th. So there's still a lot of these every team has been confirmed or which ones they're 1 to 2 depending on who you're looking at. But there's been a lot of games that are still left to be played. There's still 1 or 2 for each and every team. You know, every team's at least played 80 now at this point. So, you know, by the time we put this out, first round will already be out. So I'm hoping that, you know, me saying some of this stuff isn't like, okay, well, you know, Philly goes up 2-0 against the Penguins early on or something like that. That'll be hilarious. When I got to look at these teams, though, there's just such an offensive presence between the both of them. And for me right now, what screams at me the most is when I have to look at some of the top players, when you have to look at the top guys, right? And for each team, you have the Dallas Stars, you have guys like Robertson, you have Wyatt Johnson, you have Rantanen and whatnot. On Minnesota, you got guys like Kaprizov and Boldy. And what's it called? Shout out to Vic, by the way. You know, but yeah,
Fuck you.
You got guys like that, you know, on your team, and it's going to be a great star-studded lineup between the both of them. Quinn Hughes, very good acquisition for you know, Minnesota. I just don't know if they got the system for it. Right now, look at these teams. I think Ottinger in net for Dallas Stars is going to be the proven point as to what gets them through this matchup. I could still see it going 6 in this matchup here. What I got is both of these teams have constantly had struggles in the playoffs in the early rounds. Now they're both versing each other. So one of them's going to struggle more than the other, right? I mean, that's a given. But when I have to look at these two teams, I'm going to take you know, the future New York Ranger Robertson and the Dallas Stars.
Really?
Yeah, when they claim him off the RFA, you know, this summer, and I will be talking about that in later videos here coming up soon. But when they claim him off the RFA this summer, because, you know, the Dallas Stars can't sign him, and you know, the Rangers get a 96-point scorer on their team without having to actually give up a player. You know, we'll go over that, but you know, that's just my New York Rangers bias here. But
I hope here, buddy.
I listen, we'll talk about it. But yeah, I got the Dallas Stars winning this game. For me, just straight up, it's going to come down to the goaltending. I think Ottinger is top 3 goaltender right now in the league at the moment. He's been playing fantastic. He's doing his job. The offense is scoring. The defense is what they got to do. This team looks great. They look fantastic. So I'm not going to put, you know, anything past them. And then also, I think that Kaprizov, even though he's got 89 points, great, respectable. But, you know, when you look at the last couple of seasons, kind of a little bit of a off for him. You know, not crazy, but it still is there, you know. I don't feel like he's had that fire in him this season to be better than what one. So I'm hoping that maybe him and Boldy can, like, really come up and give them a better matchup. But I'm going to take the Stars in 6 with this one, coming down to goaltending. And I think the offense in general is just going to overpower Minnesota in their own zone, especially at home when you have 4 games at home. If this game decided to go 7 for whatever reason, and it heads home to the Dallas, I got Dallas winning. But I'm going to take Dallas in 6.
Yeah, well, like you said, well, since I didn't give my matchup out,
Yeah, I'm going to wait for you to
on
do
who
that.
I have, I think, like you said, it's going to come down to goaltender. And both these goaltenders, in Gustafsson and Ottinger, they both struggled last year in the playoffs. So it really depends on who brings their game this year. I do agree with you, Pat, that Ottinger is the better goaltender in this series. But if he struggles like he did last year, Dallas can lose out and not make a run like they have been. But I do think with the goaltender advantage, I will give this to Dallas, but I think it goes 7. I don't think it's going to go... I think this is going to be a bloodbath. This is going to be very low scoring. I don't think, because the two of the top defenses in the league meet in the playoffs, is going to be one of those defensive games that is going to be hard to score. I think it's going to be low scoring, but I do think Dallas will come out with wins and win it in 7.
Dan got it in 7, so I'm changing my opinion. I got Dallas in 4. I'm joking. No, Dallas in 6. And we'll move on to the last matchup that we have confirmed right now. Real quick, we move on to the next topic. But this upcoming team here, it's not even officially confirmed because we don't know who's going to be home, who's going to be away. But we do know that they are going to be versing each other. It's going to be the Montreal Canadiens versus the Tampa Bay Lightning. You know, Dan, do you have anything to say about this? I know Vic right now, didn't even know about it at the time, so I don't know if he's going to talk too much about it. But if anything, like I said, I already kind of have what I want to say here, so we'll kind of go over for a second.
Yeah, you guys got the floor.
We got the floor.
When you look at the rosters for these teams, it feels like to me you're looking at a team of vets versus a team of youth. Because this Montreal Canadiens team is very young. I mean, you're looking at some of these players' age, and the highest age is 31, I see. And some of these guys at max are 25. So this is a very young team. Marty St. Louis came into this team and built it to be a playoff team. And they definitely fought for their spot this year and made the playoffs. And I think this is going to be the perfect matchup for the Canadiens to see what they're truly capable of. Because Tampa Bay has came in year and year these past years after winning the Cup. They came in and been one of the more dominant playoff teams. I think the Canadiens are going to come out and win this, but I do see the Lightning also winning this. So it really depends to me because the Lightning, like I said, they're definitely very veteran heavy, and they know their playoff history. And I think the Lightning are going to win this in 7. But just barely. I feel like the Canadiens are going to have a fighting chance to win this series.
I'm giving this to the Canadiens. I'm going to go ahead and do it because you know what? I've been a big fan of their youth and how they have been playing. And yeah, Lightning definitely have the experience to have what it takes to get there, but I don't feel like this is a Pittsburgh versus Philadelphia situation. I feel like Canadiens have an overall great team. They've had the flair, they've had that fire under them. To win games, they proved people wrong. I mean, they came up in this league, looking like people weren't sure if they were going to even touch Wildcard, and they came up and they're second in the division, tied for second in the division, and Buffalo wins the division, which is even crazier to me. Based off tiebreakers.
Than the Canadiens.
And for me, it's like this. It's nuts to me. So for me, right now, I'm looking at the Canadiens as a Rangers fan. I'm envious of you because. I want what they got. I wish New York could do exactly that, where they rebuild and get these younger guys in here and, start working with that rather than, let's trade for every godforsaken vet that we can get and then just, and then try to push it together with some duct tape. I hate that. So I'm glad that there's a youthful team in here that really has the stuff to make it. And I do think that they are going to show what they got. Hudson, Caulfield, Suzuki, all these guys, freaking all these guys are just incredible, and they're playing fantastic. There's a lot of goal scoring going on. This team's just electric. Their goaltender, young, playing fantastic. Defense, young, playing fantastic. Offense, young, playing. It's hard for me to go against them right now. They're actually a team, even though I don't like them personally, I am kind of sort of rooting for them in this upcoming playoffs. I am going to take them in this matchup, and I'm going to come up with a little bit more of a wild one. Not wild one, I guess. You know what? It'll be moderate. I think it's mild of a choice. But I am going to take Canadiens, and I will take them as well in 6 games here against Tampa Bay Lightning. We will find out who has home ice advantage, I guess, after these upcoming games. And I guess you guys watching this will already freaking know. But because we're not there yet. We're only in Tuesday. So Tuesday us has no idea. Thursday us will definitely know because you'll hopefully be watching us live. And then Saturday us, when we post this, well, we'll probably already be on game 2 somewhere along the line. But yeah. So I got them winning.
If Montreal gets the home field advantage, it's definitely going to set the tone for how this playoff series go.
I think so as well. You know what? We're going to talk about it in the next topic, so I'll save it for that. Vic, I know you ain't got much to say about these two teams, but if you had to predict a winner, who would you have here? If you had to just throw out a random winner.
Let's go Canadiens.
Go Canadians. All right. So we got 2 on the Canadians, 1 on the Lightning. So Dan, screw off. We win. But yeah, no, we're gonna take. I'm
Hey,
taking the
I
Canadians
said I
here.
could see the Canadians winning this. I'm
Yeah,
not.
but
I'm
you
not
didn't though.
counting them
You're
out
a
in this.
doubter, but you're a doubter. You didn't though.
I'm not a doubter.
You
I
doubted
said
it?
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, Switzerland. Come on, stop sitting on the fence, Dan. God. Ugh, hate guys like that.
Because
All right. Moving on to the final topic here that we really wanted to talk about today. I wanted to ask you. We have the NHL playoffs here. Obviously, we're talking about it already. What is it about the NHL playoffs that make it so special? What is it that in this league makes it so much different compared to other leagues? What about the playoffs makes it great? And what do you feel you need as a team to make it to the Stanley Cup Finals? What is it that your team needs to make it? What makes a good team? What makes them be able to prosper and get to that finish line? We already know, like in football, they say defense wins championships. For hockey, what brings hockey to you to get a Stanley Cup? What does it take?
Man, what Vic said about the Penguins and how the atmosphere of the game is just, it motivates these players to no other, because these fans, yeah, it might not seem as loud during the regular season, but come playoff time, you just hear through the TV screen or whatever you're watching on, you hear the volume of the fans just come through the cameras and everything. They're so loud. They get so involved from not even puck drop, from the anthem to puck drop. They're just loud. They get these players motivated. They get them in the spirit to go out there and fight. It's something I haven't seen in all the other sports, because, and maybe when you compare it to football's a more open stadium because you're not enclosed, and NHL arenas are a little bit smaller, and you're more enclosed in NHL arenas. But just the volume it can definitely alter how these opposing teams come into play and definitely mess with them. And when it comes to what you need to build to win a Stanley Cup championship, I think it mainly revolves around the goaltender. First, you need a good goaltender. And yeah, with football, you could say defense wins championships. But when you look at hockey, you're playing offense and defense, whether you're a defender or an offensive man. Yeah, you have offensive men and defensive men, but they both have to skate back and get involved in the defense. They both have to skate up and get involved in the offense. It's very... You rely on your backbone, and the backbone is the goaltender. And then you also need a good offense and defense. But I feel like depending on who's your goaltender, the goaltender can carry you a long way through playoffs. So that's it for me and what it takes to win a Stanley Cup Finals.
Yeah, it's NHL is definitely different than every other sport. Like, I can't place one thing that makes a championship team. You know, it takes a multitude of things in hockey. Like every sport, almost every sport is a team sport, but it's so much more in the NHL because you could have a great goalie or you could have a great defense, but I feel like it takes a few characteristics, like a few traits that individuals, that the teammates have to have that get created and cultivated throughout the season is what makes that championship team. Like, you got to have grit, you got to have endurance, and you got to have that consistent evolving nature to your team. You know what I mean? I think that's what separates like a championship team in hockey, a team that can adapt in all situations, no matter where they're playing, no matter who they're playing, no matter the big names that they got. Is a team that consistently grows throughout the season, through their trials, their tribulations, through the good, through the highs, through the lows, through injuries and it all. And you get this finished product of such a resilient, gritty, well balanced, oiled machine. Yeah, you get this product of just like, this is what we've been able to cultivate throughout this whole season, and this is what makes like an amazing, like a championship caliber like hockey team. So when they get to the playoffs, it's like We've literally went from everything the whole regular season, and here we are now. This is the product that we have. We got the conditioning to go 7 in every series that we got. We got the grit to be physical in every 7-game series that we got, and we got the adaptation and the evolving nature in us that if we have a bad game, we're going to come out and totally change the complexity of how we play. And that's not easy to do, but that's what these teams create when they start to go through these playoffs. You start to see these teams grow and get stronger as they progress. They're getting tired, but you're starting to see they might be changing the scripts on how they were playing 3 months ago, And like Dan said too, like, the stadiums, and the fans, they play a big part. And teams should look to capitalize on that energy. And the only way they're gonna get that energy is by constantly evolving, like they gotta feed on the strengths that they've been nurturing all season long, and prey on the weaknesses of the teams that they're coming up to in the next rounds, and constantly keep adding to that. It's like it's hard. Like, you got to constantly be changing, like, because one day, one game, that system that you've been working on all season could work, and then the next game you go out and do it again and it don't work. It doesn't mean it doesn't work. It just means it needs to be tweaked. You guys got to adapt a little bit, pieces, line changes, whatever it is, inputs, outputs, all of that comes together, and leadership is huge. You gotta have some kind of leadership in your locker room, whether it be your coach, whether it be your team captain, or whether it just be a couple of veterans that come together, that ignite these guys, that lead these guys. That even when they're down 3-0 going into the third in that locker room, you're not like, damn, it's over. Like, to come out with that fire that you had at the anthem, you know what I mean? With that, like that, what do they call it? That adrenaline, That adrenaline has to pump through you the whole game, because 3-0 ain't nothing in hockey. That shit could change in literally a minute.
3-0 is the worst lead in hockey.
Get tied up in 1 minute, the last minute of the game, boom, now you're looking at overtime, and the atmosphere, the last piece of the question, what's the atmosphere like, and what makes it any different from any other sport is the atmosphere, especially in the playoffs. Every person in hockey, like every player, like, and I'm not taking away from any sport, but like the no man gets left behind mentality is what is given to us to watch. It's what broadcasted. Like, these guys literally put it all out there, like their heart, their sweat, everything they've been doing, and it's like the greatest example to see it, because it's like, it's such a violent sport, but it's such a beautiful sport. Like, when it's played the way that it can be played, when it's clean but gritty, but it just looks so fluent, like that well-oiled machine that you just mentioned, like, that's like, whew, that's like perfect. It's very hard for any other sport to replicate what the NHL does in the playoffs. It really is. Like, and I'm a big time football player. I'm, fan. I'm a big time football fan, but I always get excited to watch the NHL playoffs, because there's just something about it that draws me in, where I'll be like, hey, I'm a Pittsburgh fan. I'll watch a few games. I'm usually just keeping up to date, but like, oh, they're in the playoffs, and then I'll watch one game, and then I'll be hooked like a fish.
Yeah, you're glued to the screen.
Because it's like, you don't want to look away from the TV, because you're gonna miss it. And every second is it, and it's when a sport you're watching on TV can impart adrenaline into you, where you just want to drive your head through the wall because a team just scored, or that your team just scored, and you're like, oh, I gotta get up there, like, I've been to football games and I don't get like that, but I could do that on my TV here. Thankfully, hopefully, we got a stream that's playing my games where I don't got to stream it or nothing. If anyone's got any ideas, drop them in the comments. But because cable's out of here. But yeah, man, it's the heart that they play with in these playoffs. The heart, the adrenaline. That they just leave it all out there, and it does such a well job. Like, it's an exciting thing to watch, and it's an exciting thing to experience. It's probably 100 times better, obviously, in the arena. Especially if your team's in the playoffs and you're there, you could literally feel it, but they make you feel it through the TV more. It's amplified. from the regular season here, because everything's at stakes. Every game matters in the playoffs. So, yeah, there's a lot that goes into it, but the NHL does a hell of a job at really getting your blood pumping right now. Like, I could go run 8 miles right now just thinking about Pittsburgh dogging the Flyers in the first game. But yeah, that's what I got.
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot. I agree. I think that there's lots to it makes it different from a lot of other sports, and I think the best way to describe it is, imagine sitting here hitting someone constantly day after you go game 7. We're going from game 1, game 2, game 3, 4, 5, 6, and then finally 7. You're hitting each other constantly for 60 minutes a night. And you're just constantly going back at each other. It's not a boxing match, it's not a UFC match. You guys are sitting here seeing like you got to go ahead and bash this guy's head in and go, "Hey, how you doing?" the very next day, and then immediately start doing it again. And you're constantly going back and forth with such grittiness that with this sport, with the atmosphere that the fans give. Don't get me started. Like, I'm not even the most patriotic guy, but you get me ever watch me just watching a hockey game with the national anthem on, whether it be the American or Canadian, because you know what? Canadians go harder than a motherfucker. Like, straight up for their national anthem is incredible to watch. And it's like, that feeling it gives you, it's like I could run through a wall just hearing it. I'm like, I put the TV up all the way the loudest for just the anthems themselves. I don't even care. The rest of the game is like, fine, I'll watch them 100%, but I'm like, gotta tune in. Anthem starts. Like, what, it's just the anthem? No, it's not just national anthem. Not just national. It is. You got to watch the Canadians do. You got to watch the Americans do.
This is the start of a war.
Oh, man, it's so fantastic.
No, it really feels like that, man.
It's incredible because it's like, man, it's like, because now it just feels like there's so much on the line, when you go ahead and hear them singing and whatnot, and the fans going crazy. But, man, the heart that it takes to win a Stanley Cup, it requires, you need a lot of heart. I think that's a big thing. You need a lot of heart. You need to be able to fight through every little bit of adversity you could possibly get through. You need to know that there's a lot of fighting in this sport. And you're going to have the strength, the willpower, and everything to get through these 7 games at a time. The thing I hate about the Rangers the most is every freaking series is 7 games. We never have an easy series. We never... Let's get 4 games out of the way. Move on to the next one. It's now... Listen, we got to verse some team down in a minor leagues. Let's go ahead and fight 7. Let's go ahead and fight the best team in the league at 7. Let's take the team that's supposed to outmatch us to 7. Let's get everywhere. And then in the final matchup, when we're supposed to be versing the team that,
triple overtime.
It's hard. And then, okay, listen, we're going to fight, but we have nothing left in us. And then it's just, you go down in 5. And it's so heartbreaking cheering your team on for a month and a half going, I can't believe we just won this game. I can't believe we just did this. I can't believe we just did that. The 2021, we came back in 2 back-to-back 7-game series against the Pittsburgh Penguins, and then again against the Carolina Hurricanes, and then we lose it to the goddamn to the Lightning. Was terrible. We were up 2-0. It was like, oh my god, we finally have a series in which we're up in the first 2 games.
Yep.
And then you lose 4 straight, and that's just how it goes. Because you know what? They got fired up. They realized they're going to verse us, and they're losing. Nope, not happening. We're going to take 4 games from you now. And they won. They got 4 games. They won. They ended up losing to Colorado. I mean, for the most part, though, it's just sad to see. You need a lot of heart. You need a lot of resilience. You need a lot of guts. You need a lot of stamina. You need a lot of everything. There's just too much that goes into the sport that really requires you to just keep on going day in, day out, getting hit, slammed up against wall, up against the floor, getting punched in the face constantly. It's just a lot. There's a lot of scrimming, a lot of fighting, a lot of everything in this sport, and it's just a lot that you need in this sport. There's never just one defined quality, but if I had to pick one defined quality, one that would absolutely take any team anywhere in any sport, that I'll always cry about no matter what, I'll always say this is the thing that any team, no matter where you're playing, needs the most. Consistency. Consistency is the hardest thing you could do. Vic as a wellness trainer here, will tell you, like, discipline and consistency is the hardest thing you could possibly do. And it's like, if you could stay consistent stay disciplined, you could stay out of the box, if you can continue scoring 5v5 and keep the power play to a great level, keep the penalty to a minimum as you possibly can, you can make great things happen with the bare minimum essentials. Because you could have the greatest team on paper and then take 6 penalties a night, and then you're absolutely screwed because you're getting killed on the power play. You could have the greatest team on earth, but then you go game 7 constantly because, well, you're making so many mistakes. Now you ain't got the drive or the resilience to go into that next series, and you come out and you lose. Well, the other team's more fresh because they've been consistent this whole time. Consistency is the hardest thing to do, but it is the most vital thing a team can do if you want to win that Stanley Cup. But that's where I have it at personally. I think it's a lot that goes into it. But yeah, I'm so excited to hear those national anthems go off. I'm so excited to hear the American national anthem. I'm so excited to hear the O Canada chants and Canada waving their flags through the stadium and the fans cheering with them and singing the whole song loud and proud with each other and just getting into it. You know, I'm excited to hear the fans all chant USA when they're going against the Canadian teams. I'm excited to hear all of this, man. It drives me nuts thinking that even though we are so close to it, we are still so far with it being a couple of days away. And I can't wait to get there. April 18th, we will be watching game 1. We'll be watching game 1 on April 18th. We'll be watching these games. We'll be here having a good time watching Philly versus Philly versus Pittsburgh. If that is on the day that's going to happen, whatever day it happens, we were watching one game at least on April 18th. Keep in the know and, follow us on social medias. I will be putting the links down below in the description so you can follow us on social media pages. So you can watch these live stream games and we can talk about things, commentary and whatnot, have a great time with one another. So before, sorry, I've got a dry throat right now. Before we head off into the rest of this podcast, before we head out of here, because we are at the end of our rope here for this episode. Very short one, but it's okay. We had a good one. I think it was a fun episode.
It was packed.
I have a very fun question to ask you guys. I had asked, what is it that, you think is supposed to get you into the Stanley Cup? Dan mentioned a key point here that I want to kind of touch on for the lightning round. He said the best way to get into it is goaltenders. Game 7, Stanley Cup Finals. Your season is on the line. You have to choose between the 4 goaltenders. Carey Price, Henrik Lundqvist, Marc-Andre Fleury, or Jonathan Quick. Who are you going with? Let's get a. You know what? I'll make it a little bit easier. Let's get a start, bench, and cut.
Start, bench, cut.
Mm-hmm. Carey Price.
You going first?
Carey Price, Lundqvist, Quick, and Marc-Andre Fleury.
You going first, Dan?
Yeah, I'm starting Fleury, benching Lundqvist, cutting Carey Price.
Same exact order here, bro. Fleury, Lundqvist, Price. I was going to take Hank, but I was like, you know what? He's on the bench. Price? Nah. Sorry, what's his name? Quick. Quick didn't make the cut at all.
Sorry, Quick. It's just...
He might make it for Patty, though.
Yeah, maybe.
He will, and I'm taking Henrik Lundqvist as my first because he has a 6-2 record in Game 7s with I think it's a 1.11 goals against average in his Game 7 careers, and I will take that over thing. I said Game 7, not the rest of the other 6 games.
No. Yes, but I'm thinking how I'm thinking this is I have Fleury as my starting goalie throughout the whole process.
Doesn't matter to me.
Then
No, it's Game 7. We're talking Game 7. This was Game 7 alone.
Yeah.
Game 7 alone. It had nothing to do with the other 6 games. Game 7 alone. This is the last final game. That's it. Marble.
Put my face in the flower, man.
I am taking Henrik Lundqvist at 1. I will take Jonathan Quick as my bench, and I will be cutting and I will be cutting Marc-Andre Fleury. And then I'm sorry, Price, you didn't make my list, but it's only because I feel like for me, he was the
you're
crazy goaltender. But I'm gonna go ahead and
you're
and
cutting
that's
Fleury?
Yeah.
and not Price.
Price is not even on my list.
He didn't make the
He
cut.
didn't make the cut. He couldn't even be cut to the tryouts.
Price for us wasn't even in the question, pretty much.
Not even the question.
Yeah.
It got
Okay, wait.
excommunicated.
I have another lightning question to follow this because
Okay.
since we're talking about atmospheres,
Sure, go ahead.
out of all the possible playoff teams we have, hardest atmosphere that's going to be to play in this playoffs.
Out of all the teams that are there, Montreal has like the most overwhelming fan base in the world, other than like the Toronto Maple Leafs, to where they are the most critical of their team. Montreal is definitely going to be the hardest. It's where hockey is. They are the most crowned.
Okay,
They're
do top
basically
three
the
then.
Yankees. I'm going with all Canadian teams pretty much. Essentially, it's going to be them, the Oilers, and I'll go with third. If I had to switch it up, I will go with. Oh, if top three is them, the Oilers. Who would I put as third? That's the hard part here.
You have
That's hard.
Boston, Dallas, Colorado.
Those aren't like to me. Those aren't like extreme. Like they don't.
Boston fans are gonna get on your butt over here, man.
Listen, Boston. Their wild card. I don't think they're even expecting themselves to like really, take it to a different. You know what? You know who's actually third for me, and it's only because I feel like their fans are, they're there. I'm gonna put the third one, Carolina. Carolina's third hardest for me.
Vic,
Out of what? The whole playoffs?
All whole playoffs,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh no, I'll go bias pick. Pittsburgh obviously won. I'll take the Canadians second and third. Another team up there. I'll throw Boston in there just because I read Boston. Whatever.
I'm gonna go Montreal 1, Vegas 2, Dallas 3.
Vegas.
Bro, have you watched their playoff games in the previous years?
Yeah.
Those fans come out get crazy.
Yeah, because they're in Vegas.
That's why I said the atmosphere.
I'm sorry, Vegas fans are.
They're all betting on the game.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They have nothing. They're literally just betting on the game. I guess that's a stressful thing, but Vegas. Like, I'm sorry, no offense to Vegas fans, but you guys are still relatively new. There's not a lot of heat that comes to you guys for me to go ahead and say that's a pressured spot to go to. It's like when the Rangers go to Vegas, I'm like, all right, they're going to Vegas. Nothing bothers me about that. That's a wild pick for me. But hey, it is what it is. You picked them. That's the spot you felt. It's all good. All right. That is a wrap for episode 29. Thank you guys so much for joining us along. Again, do not forget to follow us on all social medias. We will be live streaming. You're probably already watching this during a live stream. We'll be live streaming these games throughout the playoffs. All the rounds, I'll be doing all the rounds regardless. We'll be kind of just coming up with a schedule as we go along. I'll let you know what teams I plan on following, what teams I'll plan on following, and just be covering up to date on every other social media page in general. Keeping at you with up-to-date currency, like all current news and whatnot, we'll be putting on social media sites as well. Don't forget to follow us everywhere. Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the episode, and I'll see you guys later on. Have a good night, people.
Peace out, guys.